may have heard the term New Apostolic Reformation and wondered what it's all about. This video will outline the main features of this movement in under 8 minutes. So the idea of apostolic ministry today has raised a lot of concerns and resulted in considerable controversy. Holly Pivick and Douglas Geavitt have written a book called A New Apostolic Reformation that has provided a detailed critique of how apostolic and prophetic ministry operates in certain charismatic church circles. They argue that we are witnessing the rise of a widespread new movement that involves people such as Bill Johnson, Che-Ann, Cindy Jacobs, Lou Engle, Randy Clark, and Yonggi Cho. Now, in the USA, increased interest in the idea of contemporary apostolic ministry came with the publication of Peter Wagner's book, Apostles Today. He regarded the ministry of the apostle as a missing ingredient in the life of the church. He saw that the restoration of apostolic ministry was the equivalent of a new reformation, a huge change that would shift the church into a new, more effective mode. And he believed that the recovery of apostolic ministry was the decisive magic bullet essential to completing the church's mission in the world. And over time, the term New Apostolic Reformation, or NAR for short, came to describe this loose subset, mainly within evangelical and charismatic Christianity, although it's certainly influenced a wide range of people in different churches, including Methodism and Episcopalians, as well as in the new charismatic churches and fellowships. Now, Wagner promoted a very hierarchical view of the Ephesians 4 ministries of prophet, apostle, pastor, evangelist, and teacher, so that these terms became almost like titles or offices rather than descriptions of the way that people function in the church. Wagner's book, Apostles Today, is subtitled Biblical Government for Biblical Power. And I think herein lies the issue that he substitutes the word government for the biblical term kingdom. And these are two very different concepts. A kingdom is about the rule of a king. A government is a structure to enact legal authority. Now, Geavitt and Pivick, in their book, A New Apostolic Reformation, suggest that the NAR purports to be, and I quote, restoring the lost office of apostles of the church, an office endowed with astonishing authority, miraculous powers, and divine strategy for establishing God's kingdom on earth. The biggest innovation of the New Apostolic Reformation, they say, is the belief that apostles working with prophets must take over the governance of the church, taking the reins from pastors, elders, and denominational leaders so that God's end-time plans can be fulfilled. They believe that the NAR promotes a view of the church as an end-time army led by apostles and prophets. Apostles are the highest rank as God's generals in the battle against Satan, and their authority is seen as crucial for the effectiveness of local church leaders who need to align with these higher ministries. Apostolic leaders are regarded as uniquely gifted, and this results in the dominance of certain personalities, and authority operates in a top-down manner. They also mention other features associated with the New Apostolic Reformation, for example, the formation of so-called apostolic and prophetic councils, Christian dominionism in its extreme form, which is about taking over the reins of government, education, medicine, and so on, strategic level spiritual warfare, which consists of confronting high-ranking spiritual powers, the belief that unity is only achieved through alignment with apostles and the introduction of new revelation and novel teachings, a sort of Gnostic vibe, if you like, where insiders know stuff that the average Christian doesn't know. Now, it is certainly true that many of these teachings are circulating. It is also true that many in the church chase novelty. But is this a widespread movement, or is it simply a loose ragbag of books and conference addresses? For the most part, there is insufficient information about how apostolic network leaders, local churches, or individuals carry out apostolic and prophetic ministry in practice. Randy Clark, who's mentioned as being part of the NAR, has refuted the main claims of the critics. He says, I do not believe for a church to accomplish its mission, it must have a prophet or be submitted to an apostle. Now, if you're interested in this, I have thoroughly critiqued the New Apostolic Reformation, and I've also thoroughly critiqued the critics of the New Apostolic Reformation in my book, Rediscovering Churches Networks. I'll put a link in the description below. I have 2 chapters on apostolic ministry and 4 chapters on the New Apostolic Reformation. So thank you for listening, and I hope that that has helped to clarify what is meant when people talk about the New Apostolic Reformation.